One way to control the center is by using like a combination of pawns. Another way, of course, is to have a knight placed in the center. There's a lot of different things the knight can do. As you can see, the knight has a number of different moves here. The center can also be controlled with long-range pieces from afar. The trick is to try to have them locked in together. Here, black has a bishop, light square, a dark squared bishop, and a couple of rooks. One of the things you may notice is the rook and the dark squared bishop connect to the back row spot right there. So we're going to take the rook there, and now white's queen is pinned. White has to guard, so white's going to go ahead and use its knight there to remove the pin. Of course, if white leaves with its queen, it's going to be mate in one. So one of the things you have to watch out for is, being careful on what squares are guarded. So we don't want to go there because that's not good. In this case, black would want to go the light squared bishop to here, threatening the knight. Now, white could check. White can't really check from here because that's not going to work. White could check with the queen, but if it loses control of the back row, it's in trouble. So let's say white checks that way. White can't really check with the queen here. But the important part is, okay, they take this bishop right here, but we got the other bishop in play, and now that's checkmate right there. So white has to be careful in that spot because black has better control of the center. In this spot right here, we're going to take a look at an example from a game where the center is controlled with pawns and knights. Now, if you get a game where it's not open, knights are going to go up in value, obviously. So in this case right here, we're going to end up trading our bishop for a knight because the knight is just more valuable. It's perched. We got a knight perched here on d5 right there. It can do a lot of things. It's guarding a ton of squares. It's guarding forward, backward. It's doing a lot of stuff. Check. We get checked. Okay, we take the other knight. Now we're guarding, playing defensive here. Of course, kinside castling. This knight is now pinned, so we can't do anything, but the other knight doing quite a bit. We've got our pawn structure here. We're able to push back. And this would be an example of like a congested game where we control the center. There's an exchange there. And of course, very important that we have control of the center. And of course, we have our well-placed knight that it does so many different things. It creates so many different threats in this situation right here. And the game actually ends where black resigns after the knight goes out. Check. And creates a discover check right there. So there's so many things you can do when you have control of the center this way. In this game right here, both sides are going to vie for control of the center here. Black initially has it because they have the queen out, but you don't necessarily want to bring your queen out early first off because you can get into trouble. Of course, if you have some pieces to work with it, or if you have the king in check, then you can do some stuff, but in this case, none of that is true. Check. Okay, we got the king in check. White defends. Black doesn't want to trade, so it moves over. Now white decides to push with his pawn. And, okay, black wants to bring out some of its pieces. That's why it moves the queen way out to the side. It's either that or move it back. The problem with moving it back is now you can't develop your bishop. So, okay, black develops here. So, black pushes the pawn. Okay, black's going to lose material in this spot right here by white pushing the pawn. Castling. However, the good news for black is that because all the pawns are out of the way for white, it's going to open the door up for black's long-range pieces, meaning the rooks and bishops will be able to take more control along with the queen if there are no trade-offs. In this case, there's going to be a trade-off there. Now, if you'll notice right here, white moved its queen out of the way. The reason for that is, well, white wants to capture right here, but if it does that, its queen is pinned. and it'd be black to move. So that's not good in that spot. So that's why white moved the queen out of the way there.
Check.
Okay, black takes, check. White blocks. So now in this spot right here, black has better control of the center. Black's going to develop a knight here. So black has a number of options, much more control of the center, and it has the bishop it can move out as well. Black decides to remove one of white's pieces, the knight, and this comes for an exchange here. Of course, black is planning for this, taking the queen. All right. Black retakes. And now black has better control of the center in the spot, plus his king is at safety, so white's going to have to move the king around. However, white has one advantage. White has more material than black, if you'll notice. Again, white trying to dictate tempo here. Threatening piece after piece. Okay, looking for a big exchange here. And a lot of times, there'll be exchanges on control of the center, which you got to watch out for is the tricky moves or discovered moves. In this case,
check.
There's nothing major, but black sneaks in a check there, takes out a piece. Okay, there's another exchange. Exchange of rooks. So white is up material, but black has better control of the center. Black's got his pawns in place. White does not. White has one potential for pass pawn on the B file. But other than that, not so much.
Check.
Push that B pawn. There's a check by black. Okay. Black shores up its pawns. There's only one weak spot. That would be E5, which is what it's going to guard. Black wins a pawn there. Now it takes care of the B pawn. And it also guards E5 with rook. So the rook's actually doing two things here. It took care of that pawn, and it's guarding E5. Okay. White's going to try to take control of the center, but its king's going to get pushed back here in this spot right here. It could put a check in place, but it doesn't want to give up the bishop.
Check.
So there's a check there, another check. As you can see, while white had better material, or maybe some material, black has a much better position with the pawns and is able to leverage that now. Now black has the pawns, and it's just going to push the king all the way back to row number 1.
Check.
And then it's going to leverage the pawns right there. And then white has to move its king in this spot. It does not. It decides to move the rook instead.
Checkmate.
That's the game right there. While controlling the center is important, it is sometimes more important to control the side that the king is on. Here, white notices that black is looking to castle to the right side of the board, or king side. So,
Kingside castling.
what white is doing is white is moving all its pieces in a way that can attack black's position. You can see it's got a queen, it's got a knight, it's got a couple of bishops aiming that way. It hasn't even castled yet. So, black actually has better control of the center at this point, especially with the knight coming down. If you'll notice that knight moved down here to b4, looking to fork the king. So white defends it by playing bishop to d1. Black brings out its rook. Okay. That piece is protected. Now white's got both of its knights in position on the right side. Like I said, black has mostly control of the center, or better control of the center than white, but it doesn't matter because white is going for the mate and trying to set up here, putting pressure on black in this spot. Okay.
Kingside castling.
Now white castles. Again, black has slightly better control of the center, but white is going to take it back by pushing the knight out of the way. There's an en passant. Okay. Here is where white comes up with a really good move to take control of the center again. And this is basically going to be knight to f6 check.
Check.
Coming right there. Now, what makes this move so powerful is that if black captures here, white can recapture with the bishop. White has a discover check. Well, black captures. Here comes the discover check. That means black cannot retake the bishop there. And now, more importantly, white is going to take control of the center. And another way to have control of the center is to use your long-range pieces. So here we've got a bishop. We're checking. Control the center there.
Check.
Going to check again with the other bishop. King moves out of the way. We've got a rook.
Check.
So the rooks are long-range pieces. Bishops are long-range pieces. Of course, the queen is a long-range piece. But we got an open game, and we got more pieces in control of the center there. Black doesn't have a ton of options. Black decides to go here and resigns at that point. If they hadn't resigned, they're going to either lose their queen or, more importantly, white could end the game right there as well. In this game right here, white tries to take control of the center with the bishop fianchetto, as it has control right there. A little bit of control anyway. Black says, no, going to block that off. So now, black has control of the center with its pawns. Okay, black gets a knight up there.
En passant.
There's a capture en passant. Black still has control of the center. Usually knights on the rim are grim, but black has control of the center here. And now white's queen is in trouble. White makes a mistake and decides to give up.